At Antwerp International Airport, a notorious gang of thieves known as the Panthers orchestrates a daring heist to steal red diamonds from a hangar. Disguised as a flight attendant, Giovanna secures a private room and sets up surveillance equipment. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew hides inside a container, concealed in 2 cars, and drives toward the hangar dressed as SWAT officers. As they approach, they deploy a smoke bomb, shoot the cameras, and restrain the staff. Locating the correct box, they burn through the lock and retrieve their prize. Before they can escape, security intervenes, triggering a high-speed chase. However, the team is prepared. Slipping back into the container, they are transported away by a truck posing as cargo. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Sheriff Nick wrestles with the fallout of his divorce, angrily discarding his wedding ring and wrecking a bathroom in frustration. Seeking solace, he heads to a bar, where he catches a news report on the Antwerp heist. Instantly, he recognizes the Panther's handiwork. That evening, he tracks down Holly, the widow of a deceased Panther. Forcing his way into her car, he compels her to follow another vehicle to the harbor, where they enter a shipping container. Pressing her for information on the Panther's whereabouts and the location of their hidden cash. Nick finds himself at a standoff. Holly demands a cut of the money, threatening to release a compromising video of them to his daughters if he refuses. Nick has no choice but to agree, and Holly reveals that the money is stashed in a French bank. Meanwhile, in France, the Panthers are already setting their next plan in motion. Donnie will pose as a diamond dealer, while the rest of the team assumes the roles of festival promoters to establish their cover. Giovanna introduces Donnie to Shova, the wife of the bank manager, and he presents the stolen red diamonds as proof of his fabricated identity. Impressed, Shova escorts him to the World Diamond Center, where he discreetly studies the placement of security cameras and the guards' patrol patterns. He is granted an office to manage his supposed inventory but is denied access to a vault box, as they are all currently occupied. On his way out, Donnie tells Giovanna they must find another way into the vaults, unaware that someone is secretly watching them. Meanwhile, in Italy, mafia boss Octopus discovers that his red diamonds have been stolen. Furious, he orders his men to track them down. Back in France, Shova later takes Donnie to an appraiser, who confirms the diamond's authenticity. However, just as Donnie notices a hidden tracker in the package, Shova casually drops it into a cup of coffee, rendering it useless. She then offers him a lower price than the diamonds are worth, knowing he has no choice but to accept if he wants her silence. Begrudgingly, Donnie agrees. After finalizing the transaction at the bank, Donnie returns to the team's headquarters to refine their plan. Giovanna distributes SIM cards and assigns roles based on each member's skills. As they analyze a map of the bank, they realize they are still missing crucial information. Donnie will have to conduct further research before they can move forward. The Panther's first priority is securing a safe escape route near the Italian border, one without security cameras. That afternoon, Nick arrives in France and meets with Detective Hugo, who has been tracking the Panthers for some time. They exchange case details and confirm that they are after the same gang. Hugo then shows Nick surveillance footage from the bank, and Nick's excitement spikes when he spots Donnie. However, he masks his reaction, pretending not to recognize him before making a quick exit. That night, the Panthers head to a bar, where Giovanna flirts with a bank guard, subtly installing an app on his phone that grants the team remote access to his device. Meanwhile, Donnie returns home, only to find Nick casually eating at his table. Without hesitation, Donnie pulls his gun, but before he can act, Nick shoves the table to throw him off balance and swiftly disarms him. Nick then makes a surprising confession: he's broke. He's exhausted from years of working as a cop without any reward and now wants in on the bank heist. Donnie has heard rumors that Nick was fired, but he remains skeptical. However, when Nick threatens to turn him over to Hugo, Donnie has no choice but to introduce him to the Panthers. The next day, Octopus men arrive in France, connecting with local criminals for information. Their search pays off when they acquire footage of Donnie, identifying him as the last person in possession of the stolen diamonds. Meanwhile, Donnie brings Nick to meet Giovanna, while the rest of the team watches from a safe distance, carefully observing their new ally. After the meeting, the other Panthers voice their distrust of Nick, wary of his past as a cop. However, Giovanna argues that he's their best shot at getting into the vault. Later, Donnie persuades Shova to rent him a vault space, claiming he has incoming inventory. With that piece of the plan in motion, the team regroups at a bar that night, where Nick is put to the test. To prove his loyalty, he's forced to indulge in illegal substances, officially breaking his ties to the law. He dances closely with Giovanna, making Marco, her ex, burn with jealousy. Donnie warns Nick to back off, but Nick disregards him, continuing to provoke Marco. Marco finally snaps, shoving Nick away before headbutting him, igniting a brutal fight. As they wrestle on the floor, Donnie tries to intervene, but Vuk blocks him and throws the first punch, escalating the chaos. Security soon steps in, tossing the entire team out of the bar. Not long after, the police arrive. Detective Hugo confronts Nick, patting him down before ultimately letting him go. As Nick and Donnie make their way home, they are suddenly ambushed by the Italian mafia. Dragged into a waiting car, they have no chance to resist. By morning, they wake up on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Their captors deliver an ultimatum: retrieve the stolen red diamonds or die. With no room for negotiation, the Italians throw them overboard. As the boat disappears into the horizon, Donnie reveals to Nick that he had no idea the diamonds belonged to the mafia. With no other option, the duo swims to shore. Exhausted, Nick declares he's done with the heist. He wants nothing to do with the Italians, who are far too dangerous. However, a few hours later, as Nick watches the local guards from his balcony, his phone rings. It's Donnie. With careful persuasion, he convinces Nick to rejoin the heist, pulling him back into the game. Nick meets with the team and learns that Marco and Vuk have quit, forcing the remaining Panthers to adjust their strategy. To maintain secrecy, they blindfold Nick before taking him to their headquarters, where they go over the heist plan in detail. The bank has 127 security cameras, each cycling through views at 10-second intervals. This means that at any given moment, 117 of those views go dark, creating brief windows of opportunity. The team must time their descent into the vault perfectly to move undetected. Fortunately, due to privacy laws, the footage is live-streamed but not recorded, eliminating the risk of evidence surfacing later. However, they still have a problem: a restricted area that only authorized personnel can access. That afternoon, Donnie introduces Nick to the bank manager, who has received an email containing Nick's resume from his time as a cop. With this new cover story, Nick is approved to act as Donnie's bodyguard inside the bank. Later, they meet with Shover, who arranges an appointment to deposit Donnie's inventory into the vault. Back at headquarters, the team preps their equipment. They modify devices like a reflector to trick the cameras and ensure their infiltration goes unnoticed. Giovanna hands Nick a special jacket equipped with 360-degree recording capabilities. Seizing the moment, Nick flirts with her again, but she quickly shuts him down. Later, Donnie and Nick head to the bank to deposit the inventory. Shover leads Nick to the vault, where his jacket discreetly records vital security details, camera placements, materials used in the doors, and other critical information. While inside, Nick spots the location of the red diamonds. Later, he relays this key information to Donnie, bringing them one step closer to pulling off the heist. Meanwhile, Marco and Vuk, bitter over their fallout with the Panthers, team up with a gang known as the Tigers to get their revenge. Back at headquarters, they 3D print a hyper-realistic mask and modify a car to help with their disguise. Nick also trains on how to bypass a digital lock using a special spray. Later, he returns to the bank under the pretense that Donnie needs access to his vault. Carrying the spray in his mouth, he pretends it's medicine while discreetly applying it to the vault sensor when no one is watching. That night, the entire city is glued to an important soccer match, including the bank guards, creating the perfect distraction for the heist. As the Panthers gear up, the Tigers arm themselves and rally their men, preparing for their own ambush. Giovanna positions herself in a nearby building, monitoring security cameras and systems in real time. The rest of the team gathers in the parking lot of the adjacent building. Donnie dons a mask resembling the bank manager, allowing him to pass unnoticed by the reception cameras. Simultaneously, their car's headlights blind the surveillance system, creating a brief window for the crew to slip out and reach the stairwell undetected. Upon finding a locked door, they swiftly drill through it and rush to the rooftop. Using a metal bar, they carefully bridge the gap between buildings, making their way onto the bank's roof. With Giovanna guiding them through the camera loops, the team works in precise coordination. Whenever they're about to enter a new surveillance zone, Giovanna alerts them to stop and wait for the next blackout period. After a tense descent, they reach an elevator shaft. Forcing the doors open, they carefully climb down, racing against time. They have only seconds before the security feed cycles back, but they move with precision, sealing the elevator just in time to avoid detection. The heist is officially in motion. The team carefully lines up behind the reflector, using it to cross the corridor undetected until they finally reach the vault. The outer gate is easy, they simply pick the lock, but for the vault itself, they rely on advanced, silent tools to break in without triggering alarms. Once inside, they move quickly, cracking open boxes and grabbing as many valuables as possible. However, Nick and Donnie grow frustrated as they fail to locate the red diamonds. Meanwhile, the bank manager watches in disappointment as his soccer team starts losing. Frustrated, he decides to leave early and return to work. Giovanna, monitoring the security feeds, spots him heading back and immediately warns the team. The crew halts their search and scrambles to fill their bags with whatever they can. Donnie, determined not to leave without the red diamonds, frantically searches and finally finds them just in time. With their target secured, the team rushes to hide in the elevator shaft. By the time the manager reaches the vault, it appears untouched. Finding nothing suspicious, he leaves. Once the coast is clear, the team begins their slow, careful ascent up the elevator shaft, timing their movements with the security camera loops. One member remains below, hauling the bags up using ropes. Once all the loot is secured, the rest of the team follows. At Giovanna's signal, they make their escape across the rooftop gap. One by one, they successfully cross until Nick's turn. As he steps onto the metal bar, it suddenly snaps. Half of it crashes to the street below, catching the attention of the bank's security guards, who immediately decide to investigate the roof. Giovanna sees the guards moving and urgently tells the team to run. Meanwhile, Nick clings to the remaining piece of the bar, unable to follow. With no other option, he tosses his bag to his partners and climbs back onto the bank's roof. Thinking fast, he rushes downstairs, ducking into the shadows whenever he hears approaching footsteps. By the time the guards arrive on the roof, they see nothing out of place. Nick has disappeared. Meanwhile, the rest of the team reaches the getaway car and exits the parking lot, which is also seen on camera. Back inside the bank, Nick continues sneaking through the halls, testing every door he passes, but they're all locked. Before he can find a way out, a guard spots him. Thinking fast, Nick fires a shot, knowing the guard's bulletproof vest will absorb the impact. However, alerts another guard, who immediately triggers the bank's alarm. Realizing he's out of time, Nick forces open a nearby door and finds himself on a balcony. With no other choice, he takes a leap, crashing onto the roof of a parked car below. But before security can respond, the team pulls up and scoops him into the vehicle. They speed off, though the bank's cameras manage to capture their license plate. A few blocks away, the team enters another parking lot to switch things up. They quickly peel off the car's white paint to reveal a different color underneath and swap out the license plates. Meanwhile, Giovanna takes off in a separate vehicle, carrying the bags of stolen cash to a different location. Back at the bank, the manager and guards finally realize the vault has been looted. As the Panthers race toward the Italian border, they suddenly spot a car trailing them. It's not a police vehicle, which confuses them at first, but they remain cautious and get their weapons ready. Within moments, a second car appears, and then gunfire erupts. It's Marco and Vuk, leading an ambush with the Tigers. Pinned between the two vehicles, Nick and his partners return fire while Donnie swerves wildly, trying to dodge the incoming bullets. After lots of shooting and a couple of wounds, neither side appears to be winning. So Donnie suddenly turns the car around and starts driving backward. Now the Panthers have better aim and manage to shoot a few of the thugs. Despite their losses, the Tigers refuse to back down, and the chase continues. The cars tear through a dark tunnel, race across a bridge, and speed along the winding mountain roads. The gunfight rages on until Nick finally lands a shot on one of the enemy drivers, sending a Tiger vehicle careening off the road and plunging down a cliff. But the Panthers are out of bullets. Seizing the opportunity, the Tigers fire at their tires, forcing Donnie to lose control and crash into the mountainside. Marco and Vuk come back and get ready to kill the Panthers, but before they can shoot, they're killed first by the Italians who just arrived. Understanding the unspoken deal, Donnie hands over the red diamonds. In return, the Italians toss him the keys to a new vehicle, allowing the Panthers to make their escape. They torch their wrecked car to destroy any evidence, tend to their wounds, and finally flee the scene. Once in Italy, the crew reunites with Giovanna to celebrate their successful heist. But their victory is short-lived. The celebration comes to a halt when the police burst in, arresting them all. As Donnie and Giovanna are cuffed, they notice Nick being escorted into a separate vehicle. The truth hits them: Nick had been working with Hugo all along to bring down the Panthers. News of the arrest spreads fast. Watching from a distance, Octopus forms a plan. Days later, Nick visits Donnie in prison. He admits he had been deceiving the crew from the start, but insists that his friendship with Donnie was real. Before leaving, he gives Donnie a cryptic piece of advice: sit back left. The day of Donnie's transfer arrives. As the convoy rolls down the highway, two helicopters suddenly descend, blocking the road. Remembering Nick's words, Donnie takes the back left seat, just in time for a squad of masked men to storm in, neutralize the guards, and extract him. Donnie is whisked away to Octopus Mansion, where the truth is revealed: his rescue was orchestrated by the Italian mafia. Octopus, impressed by Donnie's skill and daring, offers him a new job. Later that day, Nick gets a message from Donnie saying, "See you soon." Please like and subscribe for more video like this. Thanks for watching.